Hi friends. So I'm really bad about doing certain tasks sometimes. Like I just don't want to do them and then therefore they just don't get done and I procrastinate them like a ton. Let me actually put you. So yeah, I'm bad at doing certain tasks sometimes and I just need a little bit more motivation. So today I am going to take you with me while I do some of the tasks that I really don't want to do. For one, I'm going to cake up some yarn for my Hugo Burst blanket and then also for the Lanark sweater for Mr. Craft. And I'm also going to block my Palm Springs tank, which has been done for a couple days and I just haven't blocked it. And we're also going to just answer some questions because I was watching Rachel is Knitting earlier today and I thought her video was really cute, so I'm just going to do exactly what she did. She said it was okay, so I am a copier, but I am copying with permission. And yeah, just do some of these tasks that I know I need to do. We need to clean up. I already laid out the blanket. Hugo Burst blanket, like squares, how I want them. But we need to clean these up. I'm probably going to put them in rows. And yeah. So we're going to clean some stuff up. We're going to just, do what we got to do. And I'm going to bring you along with me as my accountability partner. So let's go. First things first is you are going to watch me wind yarn, which is my least favorite thing ever. And I've talked about it so many times. You're probably like, shut up. I get it, but I hate it. So watch me do it and then applaud because I did it. Just kidding. Thanks. Thanks for helping me out with this, guys. All right, so first things first is that I'm going to skein up. Let's move this up. Why are you all the way down there? So first things first is we're going to skein up 2 or 3 of these Barocco Vintage skeins, and I think I'm probably going to need 3 or 4, and I do have 4. So I'm just going to skein up 3 to begin with. And that's what's going to be the border and the what's connecting all of the granny squares on my Hugo Burst blanket. Swift, I have the Chigu Swift. These are gonna have to come in, and I love it. I love this Honest Swift, but I have used it so much that the dowels are not fitting in the holes anymore. They've worn themselves away, and I just don't really feel like buying a new Swift, but it's an issue. I don't know. This will come apart, the whole thing will just fly off. I'm also extremely impatient, so I'm not actually very good at winding yarn. So that's part of it. I normally make Mr. Craft do this, but he's been too busy to do it for me lately, so I'm angry about it. I have to do it myself, which is ridiculous because I don't want to. Alright, so I was being dramatic. That didn't take very long. So I have 2 skeins of the Utopia BFL BFF, and I have 3 skeins of the Barocco Vintage for the Hugo Burst blanket. I'm going to break my Swift down, I'm going to get it put away, and then we're going to go block the Lanark. No, not the Lanark. We could block the Lanark. Maybe we'll block the Lanark and the Palm Springs tank. All right, let's go do that. Also, look at this little case that my mother-in-law made me. How cute. It's got the Disney villains on it. I don't know if that's supposed to mean she thinks I'm a villain or she just knows I like the villains. I don't know. Maleficent is like my favorite character ever. I do not like Cruella de Vil at all. People that harm animals are the worst. But Maleficent is a baddie. To do my makeup a little different today. I actually lined my eyes, and I haven't done that since 2012, quite literally. And then I also put mascara on my lower lashes, which is something I used to do all the time, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and I haven't done it since. So I'm trying this out. I'm not sure if I like it, but trying to see what I like. Switch up my look a little bit. I also think I look like such a poser when I wear darker colors around my eyes, because I'm like, oh, you're trying to be so alt, you're trying to be so indie, which the aesthetic is what I aspire to, but I just feel way too lame to pull it off. So there's that. Anyway, I just watched Rachel is Knitting, her newest, it wasn't a podcast episode, but her newest YouTube video that she put up. And essentially what she's doing is she is spinning while she is answering 26 questions from Katie, who runs the, sorry, I have it written down, Pearl on Fire blog. So I thought that was so fun, and 100% I'm stealing this idea from her. I did not come up with this. I saw that video. I said, yes, I'm going to do that. And so we're here. Not an original thought in my brain, but I just really like the idea. So I'm going to get set up. I'm going to put my wheel up. I am going to ply some of my Tour de Fleece yarn, and I'm going to answer these questions. So let's do it. Okay, so I'm going to ply the Blackwash Mountain because I want to. And that's that. I'm going to have this ball, my ply ball, in a knitting, in a knitting bowl just off camera. And I'm going to get set up, and then, let me put this to plying before I forget. I'm going to get this set up, and then we will start our questions. I am happy with that. So now I have my notes, which is really just the questions printed out, and I'm going to start reading from these. Hopefully I will also be able to make eye contact with you, but there's a lot going on and I'm pretty uncoordinated. So I'm gonna do my best. Scout's honor. I was a Girl Scout, not a Boy Scout. All right. First question, and again, these are the questions from Katie from the Pearl on Fire blog, and that was posted on June 27th. I will link it in the description. All right, so the first section is the introduce yourself section, and it asks, do you consider yourself a beginner, an intermediate, or an advanced knitter? And to that I say, I definitely consider myself an advanced knitter. I'm a pretty technical knitter. I can fix my mistakes. I can draft my own patterns. I know some more advanced techniques such as brioche, intarsia, stacked stitches, things like that. So I would consider myself an advanced knitter. How old were you when you learned how to knit? So I learned how to knit when I think it was 2014. So I was either 19 or 20 years old, around 20. And I learned in college as like a way to cope with my anxiety because I had terrible, terrible anxiety. I still do. But it was a really good way to kind of take a break from all of that and just exist. Do you do any other fiber crafts? Obviously I do. I'm spinning, and it's kind of funny because Rachel said the exact same thing in her video, but I'm quite literally just copying what she did. So I'm also spinning. I spin, I crochet, I quilt, I weave sometimes, not very often anymore, but and then I do some cross stitching, which I showed you guys on my last podcast. It's gonna be a lot of start and stopping right now just because I'm trying to fill the bobbin. So I do apologize for that. Number 4, what are your non-fiber hobbies? So I garden, I bake, I read. Sometimes I don't do any of that. Sometimes I do all of that. It just really depends on the season of life I'm in, how much extra time I have. I think that's it. I really like to eat. And I like to travel, but I haven't been able to do that very often lately. So, also, I know my fingernails are super ratchet. And like I probably should have done something before I came on here and made this video, but I didn't. So that's where we're at. All right. Who do you knit for most often? I knit for myself. I am a selfish knitter. And maybe that will change in the future when I'm happy with the amount of things that I have for myself. But right now, I am very, very happy to just knit for myself and no one else. Number 6, can you knit in the dark without looking? Basic things. I can knit stockinette. I can even knit color work if I've like memorized the pattern. But I will still glance at the work every once in a while, and I would say that I don't do it all that often. Like when I'm watching TV, stockinette in the round, obviously I'm not really looking at it. But for the most part, I do feel like I look at my knitting when I'm knitting. All right, how big do you knit your gauge swatches? Oh my gosh, that one's a good one. Okay, how big do you knit your gauge swatches? I don't knit gauge swatches. I don't. I sometimes will cast on and see like how a fabric is reacting to the needle size that I'm using, but I use whatever I knit first as my gauge swatch. So if I'm doing a drop shoulder, then the back panel is the gauge swatch. A pocket is the gauge swatch. A saddle shoulder is the gauge swatch. Like I'm not worried about it. I really am not. And generally, if I like the fabric I'm getting, even if I'm off gauge, I'm just gonna do the math to see what I need to do to get me to the right gauge. A lot of the times I will block mid-project just to see like what's happening. Like I'm doing that with the linen arc right now for Mr. Craft. I'm very confident that it's going to fit exactly how I intended it to fit, but I'm gonna block it, I'm gonna put it in the zipper, it's gonna work out. And if I have to go back and I have to add some stitches under the arms, I can do that. But I don't gauge swatch, and I'm not telling anybody that that's right or wrong. Everybody should do what they want to do, but it's just what works for me for the most part. Do you have an FO fail, a project you finished and immediately hid? I didn't hide it. I showed all of YouTube, but I really disliked the stripe pipe that I made. And I think you know, I talked about my disappointment with that object when I was making it, and still to this day I am unhappy with the way that that fits me. I really think that it could benefit for some short rows. The gauge was off, which I knew going in. I should have added length to the sleeves. I should have done my ribbing longer. There were a lot of things that I just didn't like about that garment, and I just kept going because I wanted it, and that was not the way that I should have approached that. Alright, so number 9 and the last one in the introduce yourself category. Do you have a Mount Everest project? A project that you inspire to knit one day? No. I don't think that there's anything that comes to mind where I'm like, I couldn't knit that tomorrow. There's things I definitely want to knit and that I haven't gotten to yet, but like a white whale, not really. I don't have anything that I'm like, one day I will find the time or go. Every plan that I have right now is very fluid. Actually, that's untrue. Give me 1 second. I saw this book called Alice Starmore Tudor Roses years ago. And there is a garment in this book. It's the one on the cover that I find to be absolutely stunning. I don't know if I would ever wear that. It kind of is giving couch, like in a good way. But maybe that's my Mount Everest. I really do like it. So maybe. Then we've got the next section, which is this or that. Metal needles or wood needles. I'm a metal needle person all the way. I learned on wood needles, but because I am such a tight knitter, it does not work with my knitting style. Yarn in your right hand or yarn in your left hand. So I kind of have a twofold answer to this. If I am knitting one color, I will generally knit with the yarn in my right hand. I'm right-handed, it just feels good. I like to knit English even though it's not the most efficient knitting style. I don't care. That's something that I like knitting English style. If I am knitting color work, I am 100% going to hold yarn in my right and my left hand. So my dominant color is going to go in my left hand and I'm going to flick using my left hand. Question 12, flat or in the round? This is a hard one because they both have their merits. I would say I am going to choose a pattern that is in the round before I would choose one that's knit flat, but obviously there's some things you just have to knit flat. But I think in the spirit of this question, I'm going to go with knit in the round. Process knitter or product knitter? I'm 100% a product knitter. I enjoy the process of knitting, but there are plenty of times where I just want something to be done. I'm done with the project. I just want the finished object. And I think that's okay. So definitely a product knitter. Sweaters or socks? Oh my gosh, I want to choose both, but I'm definitely going to choose, if I have to choose one, I'm going to choose socks. That was like my first love, and I love knitting them. They're fiddly and complex, if you want them to be, and they hold my attention. They can be either a very quick knit or a very long knit, depending on what you're doing with the socks. So yeah, I'm going to choose socks. Cables or lace? Oh, I'm 100% going to choose cables. I love a cable. And I'm not a great lace knitter. It's something that I can do, but it's not as intuitive to me as cables or color work, stuff like that. So I'm 100% choosing cables every time. Alpaca or mohair? I'm not really a fluffy yarn person, but if I had to choose, I'm going to choose the alpaca yarn over the mohair. I find both to be a little prickly, but I think alpaca is less prickly than mohair. All right, so this or that, question 17, knitting in public, cozy or cringe? Oh, okay, I don't like this question one bit, because if you are in public, minding your own business, doing something that's not hurting anyone, that's never going to be considered cringe. I'm so sorry. Like, this is, no. You're not cringe for knitting in public, for spinning in public, whatever you're doing in public. If it is not harming other people, it's not cringe, and I wish people would just mind their own business. So, moving on, because what? All right, favorites, question 18, favorite stitch pattern. Alrighty, so my favorite stitch pattern to look at is seed stitch. I don't enjoy really knitting it for whatever reason, because I don't mind ribbing, but I don't really like knitting it. I haven't done it in a while, and maybe that's part of it, is I haven't done it in a while, and maybe I'm just like much better at like manipulating the yarn now. But anyway, my favorite knitting pattern to actually knit, or stitch pattern to actually knit, would be 1x1 twisted rib. I love a twisted rib. I love doing a twisted rib. I can knit miles of stuff. So I do really like twisted rib. That's my final answer. Favorite finished object picture of mine? So like my favorite finished object pictures that I see like on Instagram is always like, there's this cool person, girl mostly, that's posing like in the city, and it's a full body shot, head to toe. They're styled perfectly with their knitwear. Like, I love that. I will never be that cool or put together, but like I love looking at people that are. My favorite finished object picture I have ever taken would probably be my Huga Burst blanket, where it's like diagonally laying on my desk, and like the sun is streaming in, and I find that extremely beautiful. All right, favorite increase method. It's the make one left. I like both make ones, to be perfectly honest. They're both fine, but I let that get way too big. But for the most part, I am definitely more interested in doing a make one left than a make one right. But all different increases have different merits, obviously. It depends on what I'm making as to what I'm going to choose. If I'm casting on a small amount of stitches from the beginning, I'm 100% going to do a knit front and back. Yeah. All right, so next is question 21. Who is your favorite designer? This is also kind of difficult, but I am a big fan of Lily Kate France. I think that even though her aesthetic is different than mine, her clothes are made for like the woman's body. Like, you can tell how much effort she puts into making clothes that fit real people. And I just really appreciate her attention to detail, the way that she goes about including little fit details. For example, my Calm Down cardigan, I really loved that there were short rows in the button band. I thought it laid so nicely because of it. And I really appreciate that that's how she does the vast majority of her patterns. So I would say my favorite designer is Lily Kate France. My favorite place to knit is my couch. I think I have established I do not like leaving my house, and that is true. I love knitting on my couch. We have an L couch out in our living room, and I have claimed like the corner spot, and I lay my feetsies out directly in front of me, and the dog lays next to me, and it is my favorite place to be in the world, is my couch in my living room. So that's my favorite place to knit. If I had to choose like a cooler answer, it would be like on vacation somewhere in Europe on the water. I don't know. I knit a lot in Ireland and Scotland when I went, so that was pretty cool. But definitely my favorite place is my house, snuggled up with my puppy. Favorite yarn weight. So historically it has always been fingering weight, but lately I've really been getting into the DK weight yarn. So final answer is DK today. What is your favorite fiber? All right, so that's the last in the favorite section, and my favorite fiber is BFL. Shaniko is a really close, or Shanico, whatever. It's a really close second, but I would definitely say that BFL is like my OG favorite. It is such a versatile fiber. It works in just like every circumstance. It's got a beautiful halo to it. It is warm. It is rustic, but also soft. I have not been let down by a BFL fiber yet. So I've also never spun, or I've never knit with commercially available Shanico. I have only ever knit with my own hand spun, which may be shaping my opinion of it a little bit, because maybe it's overspun, maybe, a commercial Shanico might be a little bit better to knit with, and improve my overall satisfaction with it. I still love it, but maybe it's not a fair shake to Shanico. And of course Rambouillet, because that's essentially what Shanico is. It's a Rambouillet merino sheep. Alrighty, so we're ending it with the share the love. Question 25. Where do you like to shop for yarn? So I do have a local yarn shop. It is quite literally like a mile and a half away from me, which I know I am extremely lucky. The name of the shop is Black Sheep Yarn Shop, and I highly recommend anybody visiting Maryland or the Baltimore area, stop in, say hi. There are quite a few yarn shops in my general area, and I really like the ladies that own Black Sheep. I think they do a really good job, and I will continue to shop there. But they don't have the largest selection, and they don't always have exactly what I want. So if I'm going to buy online, I almost always buy from Wool & Company. I think their selection and their prices are unbeatable, and I have been supporting them for years, and I will continue to support them. Finally, we have, which knitting content creators are you loving at the moment? All right. So I'm a big fan of watching YouTube knitting content, and one of my favorite people to watch is What's Millie Making. Millie from What's Millie Making, and I love watching Millie because, one, her aesthetic is the exact opposite to me, which I love because it's like something different, something funky. But also what I love about What's Millie Making is the fiber content, and the fiber, like the yarn she picks out is impeccable. She has put me onto so many different yarns to try with beautiful blends of fiber that I can't say enough good things about her yarn choices. So I use Millie all the time for fiber inspo, and I really think that you guys, if you haven't checked her out, you should definitely check her out. My go-to, I'm not going to skip a week watching her podcast, is Megan from Anonymous. Hands down my favorite knitting podcast. I think Megan is the most delightful human. She is so prolific in her knitting. She gets so much done. which I am just so enamored with. Like, I think it's insane. She has a small child, she has a full-time job, and she is cranking these projects out, and I love that for her. So I enjoy her podcast every week. She also has great book recommendations. She gives a little reading recap at the end of her podcast, and she shares what she thought about the books that she read that week. And she's also a prolific reader. She reads like 4 or 5 plus books every single week. She listens to audiobooks mostly, but still, I think that that's incredible. So I love Megan from A Naughty Mess. I also watch a lot of Yeji from Anime Co, I think, and I'll link all these people down below. Yeji is also a prolific knitter. I have done quite a few test knits with her because we both often test knit for Michelle Frazetta of Mishi Fraz, another podcaster I like to watch. So I really like Yeji's project vlogs mostly. I don't necessarily always catch her podcast, but I really do like her project vlogs. I think they're quite interesting. She leads such a wholesome life with her 2 kids, and I really enjoy her content. I'm also watching Rachel is Knitting a lot. Rachel was able to quit her job in academia and follow her passion for knitting full-time as a content creator and a knitting tour organizer. And so I've been watching a lot of Rachel's content because she's been able to put out a lot of content right now, which I think is really great. And then finally, I love watching Ashley of Paper Crane Yarns. Ashley does not post regularly, maybe every couple months, and it's much like Millie, What's Millie Making? The vibe that Ashley have, like, it's just different from me. But I love watching it. I love seeing content that is not just like an echo chamber of what I enjoy, and it's also just like something new and something different and something creative that I would have never done or thought of. So that's another thing that I really like watching Ashley for. It's because her color combinations are so wild and out there, but it works for her. So I really enjoy watching her creative process, seeing what's going on in her shop, seeing how she's doing. She's a big fan of like Stardew Valley and Studio Ghibli, and I love the content. So that is really who I'm watching right now. I do watch my friends on Twitch, Rogue Knitter and JK Knits For You, and Boss Kitty. Hopefully Boss Kitty will be coming back to YouTube soon. And yeah, that's who I'm watching right now. So hopefully this was interesting. I'm not really sure. Nobody asked for this, but I thought it would be fun to sit here and talk to you while I spun. So thanks for hanging out with me, and if you want to answer the questions down below, feel free. I'd love to read them. I read every single comment. I try to respond to all of the comments as well. All right, now we're going to tackle this mess because it's stressing me out. So let's do that. And I've decided I'm not going to block the Lanark today because I will have nothing to knit on tonight if I do that. So I'm going to block it tomorrow. Okay, let's go. Okay, so first things first is we're gonna deal with all of these stitch markers that were just hanging out. Honestly, they were in my yarn ball, and then I used my yarn ball because I'm applying my Black Walsh Mountain. So let's put these away, and you're in the way of where I need to get my stitch marker thing out of. They're not even sort of my color anymore. I used to keep them nice, but they just kept falling out, so I'm just gonna go like that and call it a day. Okay, so my stitch markers are done. I do have some tried on tubing right here, So I'm going to put that away as well, which goes in the exact same drawer as my stitch markers. Then I have a tapestry needle, 2 tapestry needles. So I'm going to put these away. And a little Farmer's Daughter fibers tape measure. So I'm going to put that away as well. All right, very good. Now I have a receipt, which I do want to keep just in case I want to buy more of this fiber. So I'm going to put it in my little drawer that I just put random stuff into. I have my makeup like headband when I put on like foundation or whatever. I don't know why that was over there. And then I have assorted needles here. And we're going to put this away in my thread and maple binder. So let me go get that. This is my thread and maple binder. I don't actually know if I've showed you guys this. So this is what it looks like. This is what it looks like. It's beautiful. I do need to do some leather care on it right now, but I don't feel like it, so that's not happening today. My first page is the little notions page, and then it also comes with this like pouch, and I keep some of my extra interchangeables over here. Then I have my, look, see? I'm a mess. We need to put this away. This is my interchangeable needles page. This is my full set of Xiaogu, however you say it. I don't even know. I'm tired, y'all. And then these both are the same. They're fixed needle pages. So that's what we're going to do the most work on right now. Okay, so this is from the Palm Spring tank. One of my interchangeables, and then I had a fixed needle. This is 3.0 millimeter needles, which is not what we're doing here. So that's probably going to go in the front. But the cord itself, I'm just going to wrap up and stick in this little pouch here, which is where I keep all of my interchangeable cords. Alrighty. Now we've got, let's get you. You don't need to see my face. Look at this beautiful. Let's see if we can put you up higher. Ooh-wee, look at that. New vantage point. Okay, very good. Okay, so these are 2.5 millimeter needles. So we need to go to the fixed page and find where we would put the 2.5. Also, this looks very thin, so let me look at what this is. This is I think it's a 2.25. 2.25. So here is a 2.0 millimeter needle, and I only have one of these, so I'm going to put my extra 2.25 millimeter needle with this because I already have 3 2.25s right here. It is my most used needle because I knit a lot of socks, or at least I used to. I'm just going to coil those up, and I'm going to stick them in here. Okay, very good. Now the 2.5 will go up here. This is 2.75 as well, because I only have one 2.5 millimeter needle. I am dropping all sorts of stuff. And if I just kept up on this, it would be no problem. But I don't, guys, I don't. I don't keep up on it. This is not a Xiaogu needle. It is a Knit Picks, maybe. And I don't really like it. So I'm just gonna put that in the back or in the front because I just don't really need it right now. All right, what's next? What else we got here? I have a 4.0 millimeter, but this one's an interchangeable. So I'm going to use these to put in here. so I don't have to get the key out because I'm lazy. And then I turn them so the millimeter number is at the top, so I can easily just glance at my binder and I know exactly what's going on. Okay, so that's that. Now I have, for fixed, I have a 3 millimeter, which will go right here. This will be my 3.5. All of my fixed circulars, pretty much all of them at least, are 40 inches. That is my preferred length because I love to magic glue. All right, so now I have a 3.5. This is gonna be a 4.5, I can just feel it. A 4.5, and I think this is a 3.75. And a 3.75. My goodness, I'm getting good at this. Okay, so oh no. Oh no. I just put a 4.5 in with the 3s. 3.0s. Nope. Alright. 3.0 millimeter. This page is done. And then my 4.5 millimeter is going to go right here because my 4s go here. Alright, so because there's no 5 up here right now, I am just going to put this in there just for a place to go. This is technically a 3.25 millimeter, but it knits more like a 3.5. Because I'm used to my red lace needles. That's just how I see that. Alright, I'm going to go to the front of this binder now. I have 3 millimeter needles, and then I have these wooden Knit Picks interchangeable needles that I do sometimes still use, and a couple DPMs that I use just to like help me get stitches. I'm not going to put anything here. It doesn't look like there's any. This is where my 3 millimeters go. 3 millimeters are going to go in here. And I will just put that here. These are going to go in the back. And I'm just going to stick them in this little section. And then my DPNs are going to go up here. All right. We're back to organized. Okay, so the shelf is organized, and now we have to organize these squares on the floor for the blanket that I'm standing all over in a way that's like I'm not going to trip over them. I'm going to start from left to right, and I'm just going to make stacks. So there's 9 across, 11 down. So I'm going to start here, and I'm just going to pick these up and create little stacks. I think I if I remember how to construct the blanket correctly, you do it in strips. So this is row 1 from the top, row 2, I'm just thinking for that, so I'm sure, so don't 3, 4, 5, 6, all these rows to watch, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then finally open. So, okay. So this is the blanket, and I'll start that eventually. Well, this was a highly productive lunch break, and I really appreciate you guys for hanging out with me. I'm going to bring you back for one more clip of when we actually block the Palm Springs tank. But I've got to go back to work now, and we'll do that after I get off work. So, really appreciate you guys. I'm going to actually go watch the rest of the Rachel is Knitting video, and I wonder if any of our answers are similar. I only watched like the first 3 questions, and then I was like, I'm sold, I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna go back and watch her answers, because I feel like we have some similarities, maybe. I don't know, I find her hilarious, so that's what I'm gonna go do. I'm gonna go finish her video and then work for the rest of the day and then block the Palm Springs tank. Okay, yay! Thanks for hanging out, guys!